and welcome to the Chronicles of Yarnia, the podcast for Montclair's local yarn store. Be sure to like and subscribe to our podcast down below, and if you click the little bell, then you'll be sure to be notified when we have a new podcast up.
I'm Jen, and coming to you virtually from my living room / kitchen.
Anyway, this is Kathleen
and Haley.
And we are coming to you from one of our favorite spots in our house, our back porch, overlooking our backyard. And if you could see the floor, it is orange, because, orange. And what else? So this is podcast number
28, but we cheated, we checked, so.
Well, you checked, because I asked you to.
And quarantine number
4. Yes.
That's 8.
4.
4.
4 and 4. So we always start with around town, and still kind of same old.
I don't really have any
Socially distancing.
Any input.
Thanking everyone who's out there, doing all the right things, all the first responders, all the healthcare workers. And a lot of people, it seems, are going through and getting rid of things from their house. We have a Facebook group that I'm on in town where it's called Curb Alert. And people post things either when they're going to put something out at the curb themselves that's still useful, or even if they drive by something, if they see a big pile of stuff people have put out. And it has gotten more and more takers, which is really a cool thing. Instead of putting things into the landfill, get them into the hands of people who can use them. So
especially because if you were going to donate it anyway, and in this situation
it can be difficult to donate things now.
If you don't want to, if the reason you did clear stuff out for whatever reason was to get it out of your house or your dwelling, and you don't want to keep it until this is over and donations to different places are open again, if you know someone in your community,
well, if something's still useful,
not like giving people away trash, but like giving away a table or chair, rug that you didn't want to use again.
We have a slide that is going to be going up.
Oh yes,
in the back, yes. And in that ottoman, my old ottoman. So next nice day, I'm going to do a Curb Alert. Next nice day that I'm not on the Yarnia phone for 5 hours. But it's nice to be on the Yarnia phone for 5 hours, right? It really is. It's good to get to talk to people and help them with their yarn needs. We'll talk more later about what all the calls have been about this week, because I think we're going to continue that. It's been a nice little project, the Breathe and Hope, which actually is related to COVID that everyone's going through. Casapinka, a designer who's very popular on Ravelry and elsewhere. Oops, gnats are the one problem with outdoors. Local Yarn Store Day was supposed to happen a couple of weeks ago on a Saturday, but it was postponed like so many other things, of course, because of health concerns. And so Casapinka had been planning to launch a pattern to be free to people supporting their local yarn store day, their local yarn stores in person.
On Local Yarn Store Day.
On Local Yarn Store Day. And so it was, if you bought 2 skeins of yarn to make her shawl, you got the pattern for free. Well, she decided shortly before Local Yarn Store Day at the end of April to just go ahead and do that anyway and do it virtually, since so many stores like Yarnia are, doing curbside pickup and shipping and delivering. And so we did a couple Instagram posts, and we had an amazing response. We sold 75% of our kits the first weekend that I had put together. And I love to put together kits. That's one of my favorite things. So, because, I always want to knit all the things, and no one has time to knit everything. So it's like the joy of putting together combos that, you would love to do, but then someone else gets to do them. And then usually I get to see them. One slightly new thing for around town for us is that we did start doing curbside pickups very recently. Our hours to answer the phone in the store, that we'll definitely be answering, are from 11 to 1 on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and then from 9 to 11 on Saturdays. And Monday is a shipping day, so I'm not usually in the store that day because I sort of have a shipping station set up in my house at this point, and that's the easiest way to get that stuff done. But Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays during our hours, I'll be in the store and available to do, somebody drives up, we have a little spot marked with our sign in front. It says Yarnia Curbside Pickup. And if you've already ordered, paid, you're all squared away, drive up, text me to let me know that you're there. Pop your trunk. I'll go put your bag in your trunk, and you're good to go. Contactless pickup. So started that last Saturday, and yeah, Amanda and I had spent a lot of time driving around, and I think her husband has been driving some things around as well. And you know, things have been relaxed a little bit in New Jersey, so we felt comfortable doing that. And all the other stores in our strip are closed during the hours that we're there, or closed, you know, ongoing right now anyway. So it's been nice and quiet, and I think people, it's so funny, I've had a lot of people say that they really appreciate having a reason to get out of the house for a few minutes. So I can totally understand that. So a nice safe reason to get out, get your yarn, get back home, and start knitting or crocheting.
Sooner than
Sooner than yeah, when we ship it or have to deliver it.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of what's going on around town. What's going on around town is that hopefully everybody's staying safe. I have no idea. I have no idea what's going on around town. What's everybody doing? What are you guys doing? Are you guys working on a project? How are you guys keeping sane? I've been watching a lot of Netflix. I've actually been rewatching The Great British Baking Show because I love The Great British Baking Show, and shy of watching the seasons that I haven't watched on Netflix or PBS and trying to dig them up on YouTube. I've been working on that. Working my way through all of the old ones. But in the meantime, I've also, I feel like it's a good distraction. Although now I have a real itching to make a Victoria sponge. Not even sure that I really like a Victoria sponge, but I feel like I've seen it enough times that maybe I should be making it. I don't know. Still doing the sourdough. I realized that since I get milk delivery that I can add cream to, I'm also making ice cream, which is becoming a problem because it's really easy to make ice cream. And I have an ice cream maker that has a freezer built in. So this is becoming a problem. I'm trying to think what else is going on around town. Oh, it's almost Mother's Day. If you guys are moms or, you know, you have a good relationship with your mom, I hope you're having a great day. And I know Mother's Day can be a really tricky time for a lot of people. So take care of yourself, whether it's a rough day or a good day. I hope everybody is doing okay.
We've had some, exciting updates to the store. In terms of our, we're still socially distancing and our store is closed to foot traffic. But, starting May 1st, we're a little bit more relaxed, and Kathleen has been doing some drive-by pickups. But those have to be arranged by email or phone. But that's an improvement over having to ship everything, especially if you're sort of local but not within our delivery zone of Montclair. Definitely will save you on some shipping costs to be able to pick up on a Monday or Wednesday or Friday when we're able to do those. So that's good news. Progress, right? Everything's progress at this point, moving forward, and that's a good goal. And what's going on around town, a couple of things. So we are still having our knit nights on Wednesday. We weren't getting a ton of attendance on Sundays for Crochet Sunday. I think we had just launched Crochet Sunday when everything shut down. I mean, I had always hosted a sort of sit and knit, and they're not like craft specific anyway, our sit and knits or Crochet Sundays. It's just to recognize crochet as a craft as well, and not just have sit and knit night all the time. It's just different words, same thing. But I think folks are busy on Sunday afternoons. It's a nice time to take a break from work if you're still working remotely, right? I feel like we're even busier than we were before somehow, even though we're not commuting. Anyway, Sunday afternoon doesn't seem to be a good time for folks, and it was getting a little bit tough for me too, with kids running around, and especially when it's nice outside, and I've got other obligations. So I think we can stick to once a week on Wednesdays, and those have been super popular. Just a reminder, if you need the Zoom code and login, you need to sign up for it on our website, and I'll send you a Google Calendar invite which has the Zoom link in it, and that link is the same week to week, so you only need to sign up once, and once you have the Google invite you'll have access to all the weeks. But you know, because of folks getting into Zoom meetings that they weren't supposed to, we did take that link off of the online site. So if you have a link from last week, it'll still work this week and the week after that. But yeah, it's not on the website anymore. So you do need to register online. And you can do that by going to our events page at shopyarnia.com. Let's see, at last week's knit night, Amy shared with us that she has been baking strawberry scones, and they look delicious, and all of us were getting really hungry listening to Amy talk about strawberry scones. So that's something that I'm going to do this week. Get some fresh strawberries. They're definitely getting into that season where they're getting a little fresher. So get some fresh strawberries and make some strawberry scones. So I'm going to put that link down below. And if I make them before we publish our podcast, I'll put a picture in here. If not, I'll ask Amy if she has a picture. In any event, you'll get a picture of strawberry scones and you'll want to make them too. But oh my goodness, doesn't that sound good? Fresh fruit. I don't know, at the end of winter, beginning of spring, I'm always like, not that I don't like apples and oranges and bananas and all the things that we have all winter, thank goodness. But I'm really in the mood for like peaches and plums and strawberries and raspberries. I love raspberries. Those are my favorite. Oh, and mango. I might get some frozen mango, like packs of frozen mango. I think that's going to be my sweet treat this week. That would be really good. Oh, now I'm making myself hungry. Well, the other thing I've been doing with my kids, which has been really fun, I got out one of my old recipes from when I was in home ec in 7th grade for an orange Julius, which uses frozen orange juice concentrate, right? Some milk and some vanilla and a little sugar, and you put your ice cubes in and blend it, and it's super fast. It was like the very first recipe we learned in home ec in 7th grade. When you're, you know, like learning how to measure and make sure that the measurement's level on the measuring cup, and so you measure, you know, out solid measurements or, you know, dry measurements in measuring cups and liquid measurements in, you know, glass measuring cups, and teaspoon of vanilla and things like that. So it's a perfect recipe if you've got kids and you're like want to do something with them about measurements. It's a good one for that. But I'll put that recipe down below too, because man, has that been like a delightful smoothie. It's super simple to make at home, and a good treat in the afternoon. So I probably will have that after I finish recording this podcast. And one recipe makes about 6 cups worth. So, I mean, that's enough for my whole house, which we have a lot, right? Me and two of the big girls, and Abby, who's 8, and Eric doesn't like it because he's picky. And Jeff went to pick my oldest daughter up from college. So next week I'll have 2 more that get orange Julius. So maybe we won't get as bigger glasses of it, but today I'll get the big glassful. Yay. Okay, so the other thing I have for you today, Jen's been doing some real cool, like showing you things at her house that are harder to show when we're podcasting in the store. And I was thinking, like, what can I show you that is harder to show when we're at the store? And I was like, oh my goodness, in my closet I have some of my grandmother's and great-grandmother's crocheted Afghans, which I thought would be sort of fun to show on the podcast, because I don't have them out on like my beds or anything. They don't really work in the color schemes, and I want to keep them protected. So I don't put them out on the beds. They've been in a cedar closet. But yeah, I pulled them out today and I have them out. So first I'm going to show you, so my grandmother and my great-grandmother, my family's from Alabama. Both my great-grandmother and my grandmother grew up and lived their whole life right outside of Birmingham, Alabama. So let's see, sort of not in a urban area, more suburban, verging on rural. So my great-grandmother had a house sort of in the woods, right? It wasn't a big house. It was pretty small, and most of her kids lived sort of nearby. Yeah, like, let's see, I don't know what my great-grandfather did for a living, but my grandfather worked in the steel mills at U.S. Steel in Birmingham, and then they also had a farm, not a big farm. He raised a few heads of cattle, not a ton, but enough to like bring in a little income when they needed a little extra. Certainly, right, processing one cow is enough to feed a family for quite a long time, meat-wise, but I think most of them he sold. They had chickens, which my mom remembers, certainly the eggs, but also, you know, they had chickens for dinner sometimes, and she remembers that. I remember and they had animals when I was very young. I remember getting kicked by a mule when I was like 4 because I walked up behind it. That wasn't very smart, but learned a lesson. The more you know. So yeah, they had animals when I was younger, when I was very young, and then when I was like older, school age, they didn't have the chickens anymore. They had a lot of dogs, and cats were always wandering around, but they didn't like particularly belong to anybody. They were more like farm cats. But my grandmother was always like an amazing farmer. She, not like to sell, but she had a huge garden. So I'd say half an acre or so, which is, you know, for a house, it's a big plot of land. So, and then they had another garden that was probably another half acre that was like all corn and squash. And I remember going there with my grandfather to pick the corn, and you know, if you're a kid, the stalks were like super high. So that was fun. And I always felt lost in there. But then the garden that was closer to the house had tons of beans. Oh my goodness, butter beans like crazy. And okra and tomatoes. Yeah, so that was the garden that was closer to the house, and there was always so much, and she would, you know, package and can and freeze vegetables that I don't think they ever bought any vegetables ever for anything. And I remember going there, and that's, you know, you always had like the vegetables from the garden, which I loved, and that was like my favorite part of going down there, was having all the vegetables. I was a vegetable girl from, yeah, little kid age. Okra, oh, and the okra, which is my very favorite. And now I want okra. Yeah, so those are the ladies who crocheted these Afghans years ago, right? So I'm going to show you the first one. This is my great-grandmother's, and they are so big. Look at that. So I'm going to hold it up. You can see, I think this one must be scrappy, because it's granny square, right? It's sort of a consistent pattern in terms of like how the squares are done, with the big square in the center and then the 2 smaller ones, and then all the squares are joined, sort of. But I mean, there's some that are different, and they've all got sort of like different yarns going on. I feel like this must have been like whatever she laid her hands on. You know, that was the next color that went into the blanket. And when I brought this out today, I noticed that the center square has, where is it? Oh, there it is. Look at this. I feel like this must have been like a little memory blanket. And some baby must have been 8 pounds 1 ounce when they were born, and got a little memory on the square that she was crocheting at the time. So isn't that cool? There's no name as to who that was. But yeah, it's a huge blanket. I'd say, yeah, at least probably queen. Full size? A solid full size. Yeah, I mean, I think if you put this on a full size bed, it would hang off either side. And definitely bright colors. I love it. It feels, I think this is just because the colors are so saturated and super bright, and you know, this was crocheted probably in the 30s. It's hard for me to say what fabric it's made out of, or what the, I would think to have this clear of a white, it can't be wool. I don't think it can possibly be wool. But I was thinking of doing like a little melt test. I mean, you can tell if it's synthetic if you just hold it close to a flame, right? The acrylic will melt, or the nylon will melt, and wool would burn. That's one way to tell what your fiber content is. Someplace safe to try that. But yeah, like this one is very primary colory. I like it. I might get this one out. But certainly, you know, if it is acrylic, then that means moths don't eat it. And it's very safe. It certainly lasted for, let's see, I don't know. I'll put here. If I find, I'll ask my mom what year my great-grandmother was born, and then, yeah. So maybe we can guess when she was like in her 50s or so. I know she was in her 80s when I was a school-age kid. So, yeah, maybe 30s, 40s, 1940s-ish. This was crocheted somewhere around in there. I don't know. My mom doesn't know when it was crocheted either. She just knows that Big Ma did it. So that's what this is. And then the next one is the one my grandmother did, my granny, and this one is definitely synthetic. So that one, the first one was done probably in a worsted weight granny square. This one is also granny squares, but in a solid color. And this one is all pink. And this one, I think, is a twin size. You can see there's squares that are chained together, right? This is definitely an acrylic. I'd say more of a decay weight. And in this variegated pink synthetic yarn. Definitely has a rougher hand to it than the first one. The first one is quite soft. I mean, it feels almost like wool, but I'd be, like I said, I'd be surprised with those colors. We'll see. Yeah, so this is my granny's blanket, and with this one, she crocheted some other little things to go with it. Out of the fabric, right? Like a little dresser scarf. So, yeah, so this dresser scarf she made to go with it, to go like on the side table. And there was another, I don't know where I put it. There's a little doily thing too. Oh, here, I fell on the floor. Right on a bedside table to match. And that's a little lace crochet pattern.
Yes. Haley and Kathleen again, talking about our finished objects for this episode. And
Which
Haley,
we only have one.
Yes, we only have one new finished object. And Haley's wearing it.
So, here I am. You saw this last time, and I had almost, I was almost done with the rib. I finished the rib, I think the day, ooh, so sorry, that's the chair.
Very loud.
I haven't blocked this yet, so the rib is curled a bit, but I finished the rib. It Started out as 8 stitches, ended up as 7, but you can only tell when it's joined, so it's fine. You can't tell across the front. And I made sleeves. I added sleeves to the pattern. So this is the same pattern as the t-shirt I did last time, which is the Granite Yoke Tee by Knits and Knots. And I just thought while I was making the other one, it would be pretty easy to add sleeves to it, because all it is dividing for the sleeves, but you're not even dividing. You start the circle going, like you cut off 50 or so inches, stitches. And then in crochet, you don't have to pick anything up. You can just crochet right on to where
around,
the technically live stitches are, because in crochet, every edge is kind of, you can work onto it easier than picking up stitches and knitting, because you don't need to worry about waste yarn or anything like that. So that's what I did for this, and
it looks great. And
you can see I
echoed
continued along the
your
pattern,
nice
and I
multicolor
saved
split
as much as I could for the sleeves without making it shorter, but I really like the length and the fit, and
yeah, it looks fabulous. Nice job. Yeah. Have you updated your Ravelry notes about it?
No.
That's a good thing to do.
I haven't done that. And
did you do it for the other one?
No.
So maybe a goal by this weekend would be to do that.
Next time I will let you know if there's pattern updates.
Well, maybe even you have time in the next couple of days before this goes live.
Okay, so maybe by the time this is live, you can check. My Ravelry is Haley Bun, HALEYBUN.
Which was her nickname when she was like 2, 3. But it's stuck because she's my little bunny. And her name is Haley, obviously. I have an older finished object. This I'm pretty sure I showed on one of our podcasts.
I think you've worn it, yeah.
Probably, yeah.
When you finished it.
Though that might have been before we started podcasting. It actually could have been. So I don't know.
I think so, because you have the second one, right? Or is this the second one?
This is the one I made for me. I made one for the store. This is the Decemberist shawl by Melanie Berg, and I made it in Cascade Eco Wool. This is bigger than the original pattern is written for. The original pattern is written for a super bulky, and I actually did a swatch in Yarnia of what one repeat of this lace looks like in super bulky. It is so huge. It would be like making yourself a blanket. And maybe it's just because the yarn I used, one of our super bulkies that I love is Sugar Rush Chill, and that was what I used, and it really has a lot of body.
That's like a more than chunky or more
well,
than bulky.
it's super bulky. It is a super bulky, but it's
But I feel like even though some things get put under the category of super bulky, it definitely varies, because there's some
totally
that are
does.
Bulky that look more like a worsted, and then chill is definitely for worsted strands held to worst.
So there's worsted. Worsted is 4 on the Craft Yarn Council scale. Bulky is 5. Super bulky is 6.
Yeah, but
and then jumbo 7.
I feel like bulky. Some things that say bulky are not.
Are really super bulky.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and also
things that say super bulky are just really big, chunky.
So, and also it has to do with how dense the yarn is, how much weight you get per, or how much yardage you get per gram. So chill is fabulous for hats and things, and it's just got a little more body. It's got more grist, they say, than some of the other yarns, and maybe when I'm in the store tomorrow morning, I'll take a picture of my swatch with something for scale, because you won't believe how different the size is. So this was such a fun shawl pattern. I wanted to use up my entire skein. It's almost 500 yards of Cascade Eco Wool.
I think it was right when we got that yarn in.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, when I did, I had wanted to make the pattern, and I did do it in white, and it's in the window of Yarnia still right now. And because I was using, this is a bulky, and as I said, the pattern's written for super bulky, so I wanted to make it bigger. If you're substituting a smaller yarn for a pattern that's written for something bigger, if you can, you need to increase the number of repeats. So, I just did my math, and I believe I have all my notes on Ravelry for both projects. I'm pretty sure I do. So the white one would be under Shop Yarnia, and this one would be under Vandy. And I just scaled it up. And so the white one, I thought I would take back at some point and wear. But I think for that one, I did pretty much follow the pattern as written, though knowing it was a thinner yarn, it was going to turn out smaller. And it's still a nice size shawl, but I love big shawls. So when I made my own, I scaled it up. And yeah, I'm like 99% sure my notes are in there. And if they're not, it's going to be hard to recreate them by this weekend. So we'll see. Maybe in the mess of cleanup, if we ever get to that, I will find them and put them up. Because I do write everything down pretty much. I'm still a pen and paper girl.
I say it in my head and I'm like, okay, I'll remember this.
Oh, I know I won't remember it. I know for sure. There's no way.
Because I'll remember it the next day, but not
not much past that. Yeah. So that is finished objects from us for this episode.
This is my first sweater ever, by the way.
Well, your other one was a sweater, but sweater
like
with sleeves.
It's a t-shirt.
It's a tee. It is lovely. It's very, very nice.
It's not full sleeves, but actually the sweater. This is the first ever sweater I've ever finished because the white sweater, I did most of it, but I was too scared to do the sleeves and like
you ran out of time and whatever. Yeah.
So I did like this much of the white.
You did the body of it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right.
But this one counts.
Totally. Excellent for a sweater. Lovely. All right.
So finished object. Obviously the Felix sweater, which I'm currently wearing, and this I did in Kelbourne Woolen's Lucky Tweed. I think I've seen it. I've shown this on the podcast now probably like 30 times, and that's because I've been wearing the bejesus out of it. I feel like it's a great casual like sweatshirty sweater, as Amanda said, and I totally copied her in doing it in Lucky Tweed. I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's super wearable. It's super great. Let's see, what else do I have? Wow, I say a lot. Yeah, that's really all I have for finished objects.
Now on to finished objects, and this week I only have one. I finished my Crochet Slippers by Yoko Hatta. Well, let's say it's the first cut of a finished object. So these are my crochet slippers. Yay! And they're on my hands. But here, let me show you how those look. Right, that's the top and the bottom. And there's the top of the other one, which is sort of like the bottom, and the bottom of this one is like the top of the other one. So yeah, these were super fun. Like, they were really fast. Let's see, each bottom probably took me an hour and a half. Each top took me about an hour and a half. Putting them together took maybe 30 minutes each. So like, Christmas gift, super recommend. I will say, like, the sole is a little floppy. And I crocheted the small size, and these are big on me. They fit my husband, who's like a men's 11. They're big on me. But I was talking to Jen, and this is why I said it's the first time you'll see these as a finished object. I finished crocheting them, I wove in ends, but I am going to felt them. I'm going to put them in the wash with hot water and let them agitate as I have a top loading washer. Jen gave me a little tutorial or some instructions on how to do it. And yeah, so I'll try that out, and I'll have instructions. I'll tell you what I did last time, and we can all ascertain if it was a success or not. But yeah, so these are the Crochet Slippers by Yoko Hatta. And this was a crochet along with Knitting Fever, which was really fun, and thank you Knitting Fever for putting that out. 2 skeins each of Curion. Well, no wait, 1 skein each of Curion. So 2 skeins total make a pair. Great, yay, I like them. I'm gonna like them more if they fit after I felt them, TBD.
I have a bunch of spinning stuff that I've finished, but I haven't officially finished it because I haven't set the twist or soaked it in hot water or steamed it or done anything fun. So you can probably catch sight my spinning wheels like right there, right by the cat bed. and I've been working on a couple of things there. And I was actually looking at Jillian Moreno is doing a sample along. She's a great spinner to follow either on social media, or she writes for Knitty Spin, and she writes on her own blog. She has great books. Yarn Texture is a really fantastic book, even if you're not a spinner, just to learn about how the structure of yarn changes the way the fabric feels on you. But she's doing a sample along that I have a bunch of minis that I use for weaving that I might actually just like pull a couple and then just spin them all together. They're just like little bundles of fiber, and just kind of make like a little mixy matchy 2-ply, probably Barber Pulley yarn. I think that would be fun. I feel like structure-wise, it would probably come out a little bit like Feederbrook Farm in the store, which I really love how that yarn is. So that's a potential. I guess that's a potential whip. So I think I've moved on. Let's move on to whips and works in progress. Spinning stuff. I have a couple of things on the wheel and on my Hanson mini spinner upstairs. I am still trying to figure out what my next knitting project is going to be. And I'm not really sure because I have the yarn for the Damejakka Loppa. No, wait, I mispronounced that. The Flea ladies cardigan that Amanda is working on. And I don't know if she's steeked it yet. I hope she has. I love watching steeking videos. And I still just can't figure out the colorways. I'm struggling a little bit in making decisions. A little bit, which again is par for my course, but still it's a lot harder when your focus is pulled for other things. So I was debating that. I was trying to figure out, it's not like I have any shortage of yarn, especially in the house. I have a bunch of DK weight, and I was trying to figure out what DK weight sweater I was going to do, because I realized, especially with the warmer weather, I get a lot of wear out of my Soldatna, but I don't want to make a third Soldatna. I like the colorwork pattern, but I don't need a third one. But I like the idea of making a short sleeve colorwork yoke sweater, and I'm wondering if I should. I have a lot of colorwork yoke sweaters that I have favorited on Ravelry, and I am just wondering if there are any that I love enough that I could just make it like a little short sleeve, right? So you do the yoke normally, do the same thing that you do with the Soldatna, where after you've divided for the sleeves, you just kind of leave the sleeves hanging, finish the body to whatever length you want it to be. I would probably make it cropped because I would probably wear it over a sweater. And then just pick up the sleeves and do ribbing and have cute little short sleeves. So Amanda did that with her Zwag. She did that with her Zwag, which is a fingering weight sweater with a yoke of lace. And I was thinking about how that's a really great idea, and to do the same kind of thing with the colorwork. So I have to look at the colors I have, and I have to make a decision. And I'm really bad at that. So in the meantime, I started doing some crocheted squares of, this is fingering weight. I can't remember if it's Cascade 220 fingering or if it's the Finneguri, but it's that kind of woolly wool. And so here's one square. I don't know if you can see. Here, you can see the colors a little bit better. There we go. Shocker, I have a color palette. So that's one of the squares that has a purple center. And here's one that has a yellow. So the same colors, but slightly different. And I'm doing a mitered granny square, which I think is like a really fun kind of twist. So when they look together, it's like a little mitered square. I'm going to do the edging in the gray, and I was playing around with colorways because that was a very odd like little flash of light. This colorway was the one that I first was working up, and I actually originally started with this, which I still kind of like. I feel like is very apropos for this room that we're in currently, because these are all colors that are in this room. You can see the green, you can see my aqua blue chair. I have a yellow chair over here. Yeah, really, there's a lot of these colors in this room. So I was thinking about that, and then I also had the purple. And I was looking at the purple and I'm like, do I like it? Do I not like it? And so I did a little test square and I showed it to my husband, who was like, I like the purple. And I'm like, all right, well, you're going to have to live with this too. So let's try that out. So I made 12 of those little babies right here of the miter squares. And I feel like the miter squares go really quickly because you just start with the center square and then you just do 2 sides. And I did 2... So I did 1 solo center square of the yellow or the purple, and then I did 2 granny rows, 1 down and then 1 back of each subsequent color. And the gray, I actually only did 1 row of the granny shells, and that's because I'm going to attempt to use the gray to join these and to join them like I like to join granny squares, where basically like you do a granny shell and then you do like a little single crochet into this gap, and then you do a granny shell and a single crochet into this gap. I'm gonna have to mess around with it a little bit, I think, to join them. But I figured in preparation I would just do 1 thing of gray. And then I was playing around. So this was my initial square color. And then I was trying to play around with different square colors because I wasn't sure how I liked it. I really liked the teal, the gray, double and the yellow and the greens, and even the dark green together. And so I wanted to really make sure that the teal popped. So I had that in a big chunk of it. And so then I was playing with, these are 2 different squares with the beginning with the purple. Are they 2 different squares with the purple? Yes, they are. See, I can't even tell. But I feel like they have very different feels. So this one was one that I initially started with, where it goes the purple, green, the yellow, the dark green, the teal, and the gray. And I liked the purple, the green, and the yellow, and I liked the teal and the gray, but I didn't like the placement of the dark green. And the reason I didn't like the placement of the dark green is I think it's too dark. It kind of goes, it sinks, and it doesn't highlight the teal. And so this one I'm not super happy with, although I still might do it. I still might use it. But playing around with the colorways when I was stacking the balls, I realized I liked this approach better, where we start purple, green, dark green, yellow, teal, gray. And this fits the color scheme a little bit better, where you start with something light and outlying, which is the center, and that's the purple. And then you go to something that is bright, but maybe a little bit more mellow in tone, which is the green. And I was kind of thinking like light, dark, and then the gray, right? And so this yellow really pops, but it also helps make the teal pop. And here, the yellow pops again, but these 2 colors kind of are defeated. So what I have to do, and what I usually do when I'm choosing colors, is I take a picture and I turn it to black and white. And so I can really look at the values, whether it's light or dark, or whether it'll read as light or dark, without registering the colors themselves. And what I'm curious to do, and what I may do after this, or we'll talk about in a week or 2, is take a picture of this one that I like in black and white and see how the values go, and take a picture of this one, which I'm less fond of, in black and white, and see how the values go. I'm going to say that this one that I don't like is probably because all of the lights are squished to the corner and all of the medium tones are squished to the outside. But we'll see. So I'm working on this. I have no idea how long this will take me. I'm basically going to work on it until I'm out of yarn. And then I'll see if I can cobble together some placement that looks good. I was initially thinking that I would just do the whole thing like this, but then I realized I don't have enough of the teal to run it. And probably I don't have enough of the purple. So I have 2 skeins, each of all of the colors, except for the gray, where I have 4. So let's see if I can stack this. See, this dark green really just kind of disappears when you pop it in there, which is fine. It's fine. I do like it. I am wearing it. It's my sofa. So that's what I'm working on right now. I was also initially thinking that I was going to do a granny stripe blanket, and can't remember if I texted Kathleen or if I asked her at our virtual knit nights what she thought. And then, especially after watching the last podcast where there was so much linen stitch in crochet, I was like, maybe I should do linen stitch. And I actually started a bit of linen stitch. And then I realized that was going to drive me absolutely bonkers for an entire blanket. Plus, I couldn't decide on, does each stripe go evenly? Or do I do the Fibonacci series, which is a great way to pick random stripes that all look good together. The Fibonacci series is based on the golden ratio or the golden mean. I think it's called both. I don't know. What I remember, it's the way that the Fibonacci series is, it's a series of numbers that you start with 0 and that 0 and 1, right? And then 1 added to 0 gives you your next number, which is 1. And then 1 added to the number prior gives you your next number, which is 2. And then 2 added to the number prior is 1, gives you 3. 3 plus 2, 5. 5 plus 3, 8. 8 plus 5, 13. That's usually where I stop, because after about 13 rows of anything, you're like, yeah, I'm kind of done. But so if you want to pick random numbers and just kind of do random stripes and have them make sure that they're always going to look good, do them in the series of 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13. And you can keep going if you want to. And when I say do them in that series, I mean choose your number of rows from that series. Don't necessarily do 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 13, 5, 8, 13, but you can do like 13 and then 2 and then 5 and then 8 and then 13. And those will all look good. You can look it up. Fibonacci, and I can't spell it off the top of my head. Maybe Amanda will take pity on me and put it down here in her magic editing suite, aka her living room. So I was initially thinking I would do that, like the Fibonacci series and linen stitch, but that took a little bit too much of my decision-making skills, so I just ripped it out. Then I was like, I will do a granny stripe bracelet, a blanket. How awesome is that? I will just do granny shells and stripes. But then I had to make a decision about how big the blanket was going to be. And I was like, what if I pick too wide? And then I just said, screw it. Let's just mess around with a granny square. And I like the mitered granny square. So I was like, all right, you know what? That's one decision done. I'll tell you this, I never actually considered knitting the blanket, and that's because I don't love knitted blankets. I take that back. I shouldn't say that. I do like knitted blankets if they're done mitered or done by somebody else. I don't personally enjoy knitting a big Afghan. I feel like it gets too heavy, it gets too much. I don't necessarily want to seam it. But again, mitered squares and knitting is super fun because you can kind of join as you go. And I did do a blanket for a friend of mine from college with another friend of mine from college for the first one's wedding. That was a set of mitered squares. That was super fun. Plus, it's all garter, so it's nice. So it's a good mindless. Like, you can do it while you're watching Great British Baking Show or while you're watching your kindergartner refuse to do their math assignments. Good times. But I do like crocheted blankets. I also like a heavier blanket, and crochet uses a little bit more yarn, so it gets a little bit heavier. And I feel like crochet goes really nice and fast. So when the crochet goes nice and fast, your blanket gets done quicker. I don't know. It's one of those things. I think it's also because crochet is not necessarily my first choice craft. My first choice craft is always knitting, and because it took me a while to really learn how to crochet. I didn't pick it up until I was in my 30s, whereas knitting I learned when I was like 6 or 7, something like that. Maybe my mother will actually comment. We'll see. Maybe she remembers. So yeah. So that's pretty much what we got. That's my work in progress. My many, many, many words on my work in progress.
All right. So in my works in progress, I have 4 this week. 4 things that I've worked on. Let's see. Should I show you the new things or the old things? Maybe I'll show you the new things first, because I cast on which I mentioned I was going to do, I think when I showed this yarn initially, the new Cardigan we have, right? That is 50% silk, 25% wool, and 25% poly. We just got this in this spring. Well, it's a brand new for everybody this spring. And I was like, 50% silk, that's lovely for a top. For a summer top, which this might be more of a spring fall top, because it is slight. I mean, it's a little heavy. I don't know if it's going to be in the middle of July top, if that makes sense. But I started Lourdes, 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 RDES, Lourdes, by Amy Christoffers. Yeah, so this is the front. It's this pattern is in pieces. Well, there's only 2. There's a front and a back, because there's no sleeves. It's a sleeveless pattern, and you seam up the sides and do a 3 needle bind off, I think, on the shoulders. So yeah, so it is knit flat, and then you seam it at the end. You can see here. Let me show it up close. There is, there's these, it's mostly stockinette. There's these like texture rows here, right? There's like a garter ridge there and a garter ridge here. And then there's these rows of simple lace. Super simple lace. There, starts off with a little rib here at the bottom. Yeah. And basically just shows off the Noro striping super well. So I'm really enjoying this pattern. Let's see, I will say, like, of all the Noro I've ever worked with, this is the one that I would want next to skin. It is really smooth. There is no prickle, and I'm going to really enjoy being able to wear this. Let's see, I think I've gotten 1 color repeat through. I think this color here and this brown is the same as this brown here. So that's how long a color repeat is. So those are all the colors in this skein. And they'll just repeat. So this is, I think, like, it's the bottom. I'm probably up to like here. And it's going to be like an oversized, slouchy pullover top, sort of drapey. Nice and cool, you know, not clingy at all. Yeah, I think it'll be really lovely. And I think whenever we open again and you guys can come see our shop samples, I think I'll put this in the store for a shop sample for a little bit, because I think it's a nice pattern. It's pretty easy for a beginner. You've got this 1 lace row, which if you get to it and you're like, nope, not doing that, I'd, swatch it first, right? If it's too much of a pain, just skip it and do stockinette in between these garter ridges, and then it's just a knit and purl pattern. And a little bit of increases for arms, which is not too hard at all. I will say too, if Jen was sitting here, right, we'd be talking and make a note that there is a lot of purling in this, just because, I mean, obviously you're working a lot of stockinette flat, so that's purling, but then each of these garter ridges is a purl row, that otherwise would be a knit row in stockinette. So yeah, I mean, it's more than 50% purling. I don't care. My purling's a little bit slower than my knitting, but I'm not in a race anyway, and it doesn't bother me. So yeah, I'm not on a deadline. But yeah, so I hope by next time, maybe, this has been my project while kids are doing their schoolwork recently, because, you know, once I get through the action rows, then it is just stockinette until I have to do one garter row, and that's really easy to manage while I'm paying attention to how the kids are forming their handwriting or spelling their spelling words or things like that. So yeah, really enjoying this one, and hopefully I can show you a finished half next time. Let's see. Next, I'll do the other new thing this week. Now I know, well, as you know, I've been working on Helen Stewart's Handmade Sock Society number 3. Her socks, so I finished 2 in that so far. I finished the Luminary socks and the Ambient socks so far out of that. And the 3rd sock came out, and that's the Rainy Windows sock, right? Yep, the Rainy Windows sock. So I intended when I started this to use my 3 favorite sock yarns that we have at the store, right? Ancient Arts and Knitted Wit, Victories are now just Knitted Wit sock, and Mad Tosh sock, to do the whole series. But when I saw this pattern and I was looking at all of our sock yarns, I changed my mind. So I'm using, which I have never used before for socks, so this is good, right? Like, I'm trying new things. This is our Spun Right Round in their sock base classic sock. So Spun Right Round's classic sock, which is a wool nylon blend. But this was just the perfect color for rainy windows, right? It's a light blue, and you can see like this little pattern here where it looks like there's little raindrops. And like a lot of Helen Stewart's patterns, this one starts with a twisted rib. And then that's a little cable on either side of the pattern in the center, and at the back it's just plain stockinette. Right. I will say, like, I looked at this color. Yeah, I looked at this color and it looks quite solid, right? Or tonal with just a few specks. And I was a little surprised how variegated it turned out knitting it so far. I think I hit a section that has a little more color, and that is what you get with hand-dyed yarn. Some sections of the skein are more variegated than others. When I get to the second sock on this, we might see that it's more just blue and doesn't have the black and pink in the middle of the design so much. Yeah, when you're doing hand-dyed yarn, that's what you get. But I really do like it. I think it's the perfect color match to the rainy window socks. I'm using my flip sticks on this pattern, which I love, my Addi flip sticks. Those are like my go-to sock needles. I use their US 1, which is not universal US 1. Addi ones are 2.5 millimeters, which is for most other brands a US 1.5. Just FYI. It works well for me. I'm on the average to slightly tighter size. Helen Stewart's patterns are 64 stitches for the medium size. A 60 stitch sock works perfect for me, and if I'm like just doing a rib sock, I do 60 stitches. This one would have been easy to modify to 60 because it has just the stockinette back, but I didn't. I mean, I don't find the 64 stitch is too loose on me. It's just, I can tell it's a little bit looser, but it doesn't bother me. So I've been knitting all of her 64 stitches because that's what she has. But if I'm knitting other patterns, I usually modify it to 60. I don't know why I don't modify these, but anyway, I don't. And it's a 64 stitch pattern. Yay, rainy window socks. Let's see. Okay, now the next two are ones you've seen before. And I've made progress on. Yay. So first, my Elder Throw by Lisa Richardson. Yeah, I love this pattern. But I do have to say I've taken a break from it for the last week. So for the first week of this 2 weeks since we podcast last, the first week, this is like all I knit on. Literally, I didn't knit on anything else. I'm so obsessed. And then, yeah, I haven't knit on it since then, but I think very shortly I'm going to cast on the third clue because I finished the second clue. Yay! And I still haven't woven any ends. I'm going to regret that, but maybe not. Maybe I'll just, that'll be a good, like, conference call project, right? Weaving in ends. So, Elder Throw by Lisa Richardson, and I'll just show you, because these are mostly the same. Clue 1, like I said, was like these mitered square you saw last time, the mitered square. Clue 2 are these lace, and I think I had just barely started last time, but are these lace panels. So each mitered square got 2 lace panels on it. Yay! Mitered square. I need to label these. That's one reason I didn't start the next one, because I need to label these mitered squares with square 1, 2, 3, 4, because I have to refer back to the first clue every time to figure out what the heck square I'm supposed to be on next. It's very confusing. I need a better system. But anyway, mitered square with some lace on it now. Another mitered square with some of the rust color. At least I know all the names now of these, and some of this little color on it. Another mitered square. Ta-da-da. This is going to be a ginormous blanket, I'm realizing. Like, ginormous. This is going to be quite a sizable throw. And then here is the center square. So the center square had 9 mitered squares in the middle. Still haven't seamed up the middle of my center square. But then each side had a lace panel all the way down it. Yay! So there we go. That's the whole center section. Yay! So I finished clue 2. Woo! All right. I'm glad, but I have to get started on clue 3. I don't want to fall too far behind because I feel like this is one of those things that could be an eternal whip. And for some reason, being in the middle of a knit along keeps me moving along. And I feel like if I ever stop and like take a 3-week break, then I'm not going to be on track again. So I need to keep going. So the last thing I have to show to you is a consistent whip. But I made progress. I made the progress that I said I would. That's another good thing about these podcasts, is it makes me continue making progress on my whips. But this is my Damejakka Loppa by Pinneguri. Yay! We've seen the body. Boop, 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 boop. I tried it on so the bottom is flipping up. Yeah, that's I showed you the button bands last week, right? That's the yoke. And now I have a baby sleeve. It's about, right now, it's about 2 inches above my elbow. So progress. And I know I've talked about it before, but you can see the little stitch markers dangling here. I use those opening stitch markers, the Cocoa Knits opening stitch markers, to indicate where I decrease. So when I get to the other side, right, and I'm doing the sleeve, it's easy for me to like fold it in half and just go like match, 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 and make sure that I'm decreasing at the same rate in general, right? Like if I'm off a row or 2, who cares? But you know, you definitely don't want to be off 8 rows and be doing something totally different. So it's like a super easy, fast way to check and make sure your decreases are the same on each sleeve, which guarantees you'll end up with the same size sleeves and not have one loose sleeve and one tight sleeve, because that's just annoying. But let's see, anything else? You can see I left in my yarn when I separated for sleeves. That's a Jen trick, so I do that now. That's just in case things turn horribly wrong and I have to rip it out all the way back to the sleeve. At least I know it'll stop and I won't lose any of my yoke. Let's see, picking up for sleeves, it turned out pretty good. I've got some tidying up to do. I've got some tidying up to do here, right? It's a little bit loose there, but when I weave this end in, I'll just tidy that up and make it tighten in. And you'll never see that there was a little bit gappy when I attach my sleeve. That's fine, no problem. Happens like literally every time. So yeah, progress on Pinneguri's Damejakka Loppa. And I mentioned last time we are having a little long for this. I need to go and update the Ravelry thread, which I'll do before this podcast airs, so it'll look like I'm on track. So yeah, we're having a knit along. I mentioned about it last time. It is to knit Damejakka Loppa. It runs through the end of August. You have to get most of the yarn for the sweater from Yarnia. It uses 6 colors. So if you do have, say, a special fingering weight in your stash that you want to use as an accent color, totally fine. I'm using Phenol Garn by Rauma. Phenol by Rauna, PT2, used to be PT2, merged to Rauma. Yeah, this is an excellent yarn, especially when you're steeking, which is what's going on with this sweater. So yeah, you'll notice like I have button bands, but you couldn't take it apart now as a cardigan because we're going to cut down the center here and add the buttons, and then it'll be open. But you need a real wool, not superwash is real wool, of course, but it has some of the attributes of non-superwash wool are important when you're steeking. You can steek superwash wool, you just need to treat it a little bit more intensely first. You need to machine stitch down each side of your steek to reinforce and make sure that those stitches are not going to unravel. With something like Phenol, which is a non-superwash fingering yarn, they're not going to unravel. It's going to be, nothing will unravel when we steek. Especially since those button bands are applied, that's going to hold stitches in tightly as well. I might, like I mentioned last time, I might do some of the Mason-Dixon, felt the steek a little bit, A, to see how it works, first of all, because I'm sort of curious, and B, to give myself a little more extra comfort, even though I don't really need it. So, yeah, that's what I do. A little extra just to make myself feel happy, I guess. That's normal, right? Okay, so those are all my works in progress.
It's Kathleen and Helen back again to talk about our works in progress. And we have many works in progress this time. My big one that I really was hoping would be done by this episode, but I was talking with a friend of mine on the phone earlier while I was doing my lace, and I suddenly looked down and realized I was off by 3 stitches in one of my lace repeats. So I tanked 7 rows, and all chance of this being done in time for this podcast went out the window. But it is
but here it is.
It's 98% done. It really is. So I'll definitely be wearing it next time. This is my pullover version of the Magnolia Chunky Cardi, and it is done in Spun Right Round Squish DK in the color Treasured. I love it. I finished sleeve 1 the other day. So sweet. This is actually, in some ways I'm glad I didn't finish it because it's going to look so much better with blocking.
Yeah.
But I am I don't know, on row 7 or 8 or something of the lace on this sleeve. So I've got literally 20 rows left in the entire sweater. And I don't believe in Sleeve Island. I like sleeves. Sleeves go fast for me. So I definitely will finish this tonight, then we'll block it, and then I'll get to wear it on the next podcast. And actually it is...
I'm moving the camera. I'm sorry.
It's a little chilly right now. We actually might get some snow this weekend apparently. So I don't know. All of this weather is just so that we can still wear sweaters perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be? I don't know.
It's May.
It's May. It's usually April,
My friend
May
from
showers.
Australia, when they moved to Montreal, she said that they got snow on the first birthday that she was there, which is May 3rd. So
Wow.
like inches of snow, not just snow.
No, not a
like
sprinkling.
Montreal snow. So maybe that's where we are. Maybe that's where we're at.
All right. So would you like to show your big project that you've been working on, or do you want to do a little first?
No, I'll do the little ones
All
and
right.
lead up to it.
You do the little ones.
So here's this has been a work in progress for a long time. Probably over a year. Definitely over a year. Probably year and a half. So here we are. I can't even tell which end is the bottom. Okay, so this, it doesn't look like much. Can't really tell what it is because it's supposed to be a pillow. It started out its trajectory as trying to be a throw pillow for my cousins as a homecoming, like home welcoming when they bought their house present. And then I didn't make it in time. And then it was gonna be a Christmas present for the same people. Didn't finish it in time. A, because I was in school and didn't have the yarn with me. But then I picked it up because I'm trying to clean out my whips. Sorry if you heard our dog. She wants to come outside. And I was like, okay, I'll make like a small throw pillow. But this is Tunisian crochet. It's the smock stitch, which looks really nice because it's got like a nice like fish scale, dragon scale.
It reminds me of yeah. There's something I've done in knitting that looks like this.
It looks really pretty. But this is like, I've never done like real Tunisian crochet. I just was like, oh, there's a hook that's long, and I didn't realize what it was until I looked at some pictures on the internet. And so this is my first try at like a Tunisian project, and the problem is no matter how hard I try, I cannot get the sides to be the same.
This side looks straight, right? But
yeah, but
that
like,
one's
the
a
stitches
little
go
wonky.
away and I don't know where they go. So, because I don't do anything different.
You need to talk to Susan. Susan can help.
Susan, please help me. And yeah, I don't think the foundation crochet was the right thing. So this is like the fourth try at this, maybe. So it's in timeout right now. That's why I don't have much for that. But there's that's one project.
Okay, so that will make a reappearance when you have a better grasp on Tunisian crochet.
Maybe.
All right, that's a good
Maybe
goal.
it'll turn into something else.
That's
but I have
goal.
like 3-4 skeins of that yarn, so I kind of need to do something.
All right, you'll figure it out. The main thing I have been working on, and really probably the biggest reason that I didn't finish my Magnolia, is I decided to do the Breathe and Hope shawl along with a lot of our customers who are doing it. So I'm working with 2 skeins of Ancient Arts.
I love this one.
Thank you. I remember when we ordered this, and actually I think we ordered it in 2 different weights. This is called Eiffel Tower, and this is Irish Linen. I think we have like 1 Eiffel Tower left, but a few people bought kits with this. We mixed it with different colors. One customer got it with navy. I found a nice dark blue. Yeah. That was what she wanted. Nice. Somebody else is, I'm corresponding with somebody about one with, it's like a very tonal, like purple into lavender, which it is brown and blue and everything, but it actually,
I can see that.
It kind of crosses over with
like
that stain. It's very cool. There's a tiny bit here that looks a little purpley. Yeah. So anyhow, the Breathe and Hope shawl by Casapinka is really, it is a nice relaxing knit. Definitely good for, advanced beginners and up. One of the notes that Bronwyn, aka Casapinka, makes in the pattern is to go up 2 needle sizes when you do your slip stitches from the other sections. And I was being really lazy, and I did not have a needle size 2 sizes up from the one I started with when I did the first slip stitch section, and so therefore it is a little tight. I showed this at Knit Night last night too, on our virtual Knit Night. It's a little tight. It's toward the end of the shawl. It's not like the main body of the shawl. I'm sure I can block it out a bit. It is already a little stretchy. You can see it'll be okay. But I definitely did follow her guidance and go up the full 2 needle sizes when I got to my next set of slip stitches. So I don't know, into like section 6 or 7 or something. It is a very nice relaxing knit. And it's so funny. There's something about these kind of crescent shaped shawls where you're both increasing and decreasing in the same row, where I actually feel like they go faster when you get into the part where there are more stitches. I always feel like the first however many inches just take a while.
See that. It's a little fiddly.
Well, you're always turning, turning, and I think that kind of slows you down. So once you kind of build up a little bit of steam, I'm kind of cruising along on this. So hopefully this will be a finished object by next podcast as well. But I'm really enjoying it.
It's very soft and squishy.
It is. It's really nice. So there's a bunch of different, really pretty easy stitches. She really wanted this to be kind of a meditative, not too taxing pattern for people. And I think she achieved her goal. And she certainly did a lot to support local yarn stores at this really problematic time. So we appreciate that.
Of correspondence.
Definitely. And
Very
we'll
busy
talk
month.
more about it in new in store as well.
She was very busy.
Yes. All right, so what's your next?
So next I had looked at, I don't have my phone, so I can't show you a picture, but we'll throw in a screenshot from Instagram.
Let's actually try to remember this time.
I know,
we're always telling
and we said
Amanda,
that, and then
we'll
we were like, oh, we'll
send you a
throw it in,
picture.
and then
So
we
one
watched
is
it, and there's no pictures, so
one is my
sorry about
Decemberist
that.
sample.
So,
Ooh.
it looks really green outside. I like it. So this is the
green.
Kickstarter
Niche Weighted Edgemont green that Amanda just recently used
yes,
for
so
her
it's the same
Sock
it's the same
Society
one.
socks.
So I hope
Handmade
you can
Sock
see
Society.
the eyelets in this.
Yes. Is it a top? What is it?
Yeah, so this is supposed to be a it's upside down. Is it? No, it's not.
It's pretty reversible, I think.
So it's supposed to be a tank top that we'll put in the picture before so you can image in your head what it's supposed
Definitely,
to look
we're
like.
shaking the camera.
Sorry. And so it's supposed to have little diamonds, and it's crochet, and I'm just kind of going off of the picture, and it's just a little crooked, like I don't know.
Is there a pattern? Is there a written pattern?
No.
Oh, okay. You're
I'm
just
using
remaking
the
it from a
picture.
picture. Okay.
So I
That's
don't
hard.
know if you can tell, but the diamond, like in the picture, the diamond was like a very symmetrical, even like point to point diamond. But these ones
some
kind
of
of
them-
look like rhombi.
I feel like this side it looks more even.
Well,
I don't know.
so I've moved them around. The problem is, I don't know why. Maybe there's a reason for it. But one triangle goes from 1 to 3 to 5 to 7 back down to 1. And then the other set of triangles goes from 2 to 4 to 6 to 8 and then back down. So I've put
So
this away. I haven't
literally
been
is
working on this
bigger
for like
than-
a week. But I don't know if there's a specific reason for that, but I was gonna try the next round just doing all of them 1, 3, 5, 6.
That
1, 3,
seems
5,
like
7.
they'd be more
So
symmetrical.
we'll see. Maybe that'll help. And like I can move the stitches, like physically move them over in the stitch, but they kind of migrate back.
Of course,
And,
yeah, they will.
So I put that away because it was kind of annoying. And it wasn't looking exactly how I wanted to, but it looks really nice, and hopefully
You can figure it out.
it's
and
just
make
gonna be a
it.
tank top. So, and also I was like kind of dreading the like doing the angles to the straps, because then I would have to like figure out how to finagle the pattern. So I was taking too much brain work. So I put it away.
Sometimes that's the best thing to do. All right.
I have no willpower.
So my third whip is really only a swatch, but Amanda's mainly been handling the emails with customers. I've been handling phone and voicemail and texts and things. And I saw there was someone who was asking her about suggestions for summer tops. And Amanda had a fabulous list of summer tops. And one was called the Double V. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make that. So I've got some Zoe yarn from the store, which
Kind of perfect for a summer top.
yeah, it really is. I
kind of want to make
a
one
poncho with-
of the blues, like the light blue.
yeah, we got a couple of pretty light blues. And actually that we definitely have a picture we can throw in because it was in the newsletter.
Yes,
I took it for the newsletter. So
So
we will try to do that. Amanda ordered a ton of new colors. That actually probably belongs more in new in store, but
feature.
we're being freeform.
Foreshadowing.
So anyway, this is my swatch. I think I'm going to have to go down another needle size. It still feels a little open to me. This pattern, I will have to look up who it's by. It is called the Double V, and actually Amanda probably knows since she was the one who originally recommended it. So I think this is going to be a super easy, super quick summer top once I figure out what needle I'm using. Because basically you knit one long rectangle, you leave an opening in the middle for the neck, and one side is, it's made so that you can either wear the lower V in the front or the back. It's completely reversible.
Sorry, did you say it was a tank top?
Did I say tank top?
No, I didn't hear you. I was like,
It's a top. It's a top.
I was
don't
trying
know.
to picture in my head what it was.
No, it's a top. It's a rectangle that you
Okay.
where you.
So it's a cowl. I didn't hear what you said.
No, it's a top.
Oh, I totally zoned out. I heard you say like
It's time for dinner. That's why we're zoning it. Did you ever eat lunch?
yeah.
Okay.
I had mac and cheese.
Okay. Leftover mac and cheese,
I love
homemade,
mac and cheese.
yummy. Did you finish it?
No.
Wow.
I left half.
All right. Oh, nice. Very nice. I
So
almost
I
had
could
some of
have
that
more.
too.
Anna.
I made my Mexican pizza today.
A classic.
Well, shall we do a little quick recipe interlude?
Yeah, go
Mexican pizza. And because pizza is my favorite food. We may get pizza on Sunday for Mother's Day. Because my favorite pizza place that usually is eaten super thin crust.
Some of you may know.
Just
if you're
Star
in the
Tavern.
area.
Yes, they just reopened for pickup last Tuesday, and we were not able to get, or whenever recently we tried calling last weekend and we could not get through to them, but we're going to be
I'm
more
sure.
persistent this weekend.
Yes.
So
Good gift.
looking forward to that. So I love pizza. Pizza's my favorite thing. And so my Mexican pizza is like a quick lunch thing I make sometimes when I'm at home, and I take a tortilla. I take leftover enchilada sauce from another dinner. Spread the enchilada sauce just like it's Italian red sauce for pizza. Do a little Monterey Jack, cheddar, whatever, Mexican cheese blend on top.
Oven.
My tip for anything like this, turn the broiler on. Let the broiler heat the oven. Put your thing on the bottom shelf. I check it every 2 minutes. Usually after 4 minutes, the cheese is nice and melty. Move it up under the broiler for the last minute. Voila, Mexican pizza. There you go.
4 steps.
Pretty easy. Because I didn't eat lunch till about 3 o'clock today, and I needed to do something that could be done in 5 minutes.
Yes,
So that was it.
That was the requirement.
Yeah. So, how did we get from the shirt to Mexican pizza? I don't know.
I zoned out and I wasn't listening.
Oh, I said, did she eat lunch? Yeah. See, it's an advantage and a disadvantage not being by yourself. I have to pay more attention if I'm by myself, right? We're each other's crutch? I don't know.
Yeah,
whatever.
but I just wasn't listening to what you were saying, so I'm not a help to remind you.
So, anyway, this is a really sweet pattern, double V. I'm doing Zoe. It would look great in cotton cashmere also.
Oh yeah, because there's new colors of that, right?
Yes. So,
because last time it was like a nice like blue, like a dark navy blue, denim-y blue, and then like a white.
Yeah, we have a lot of nice summer
like
yarns.
A nice pink.
Yeah, we have a lot of nice summer yarns, but like spring, summer. So definitely, and it's the kind of thing, a lot of these, we try to find patterns that are easy and quick to do so that you actually can, start making the thing now and actually be wearing it this summer.
The same season,
Yeah,
that's the thing with like starting a sweater in like the end of November, because you're like, oh, it's sweater time, but then like it's like March.
It depends on how quickly you get through your sweater. So the pièce de résistance that Haley has been working on, like,
been waiting for.
This is
what I've been working on for like, I want to say like a week straight.
5 or 6 days. Yeah, it's been. I mean,
I feel like there was a day where I was like, I've been working on this for like 3-4 days, but then I kind of lost count. So I want to say 5 or 6.
Yeah, it's close to a week.
6 or 7.
It's still an incrable amount of work in that amount of time.
Oh, I moved the camera. Very, very sorry. I was going to say very apologies, but that's not.
It's not English.
Real. So here we are. It's a blanket.
It is the best granny stripe scrap blanket. I love it. It's so gigantic. Oh my goodness.
I started as a I started it about
60
feet.
inches, we figured, yeah.
Yes.
So you did the foundation crochet chain, right? Or
So-
foundation chain, sorry.
with the neon, which is my favorite color, even though it's from Hobby Lobby, but I that's the only skein of yarn I ever bought there, and we haven't gone back, so we don't like them. So this is the foundation crochet, which is a really good way to, if you have ever like crocheted even anything flat, because like it's different in circular and like round,
Right.
but chaining and then counting the chains and then having to go back, and that's
And
like the worst
making
part.
sure your chain is loose enough but not too loose.
Exactly,
That's
making sure
the
the
hard
chain
thing.
is not
So
very
that
tight, and making sure
so
it's
that
loose
the
enough.
stitches above
And
it
then
don't
like
flare
just going
out.
back in, it's so annoying. So I think someone in the knitting circle posted like a tutorial or like a link to YouTube video or something. I was like, that is so smart. So it's one of those things I taught you. Sorry, I'm moving the camera again. I taught it to you, and when I said that, I was like, it's one of those things.
We forgot the dishcloths. they're finished now. Oh well, sorry. That's where she taught me the foundation.
So,
chain.
As you can
Crochet.
tell, our brains are not.
We need dinner. We need dinner.
So, it's one of those things where it's super easy to learn once you catch on to it. You do it for like 5 or 6 stitches, and then the next time you need it, you're like, I know I did it.
You know what?
I have no idea how.
You know
it
how
happens.
I feel. That's how I feel about Kitchener stitch. I look it up every time I do it. I never can remember. But but like once you're actually doing it, it's fine.
Exactly. Once
you have to look it up.
You just have to like look at the tutorial every single time. But it's really helpful because basically it gives you a row of single crochet that you can just go straight into, and like anyone who's crocheted knows that chaining back takes as much time as like chaining the first way, but just going into a single crochet, like just that little bit of substance makes it so much easier to work into.
So much easier. And also the whole thing, to me, the whole thing is like really the tension that you know that the row above it is not going to flare out or pull in or anything like that.
So I don't know if we should have measured it before, but
looks pretty close to square now.
It might be a square.
It looks pretty close to square, yeah.
Should have done this before. I'm moving the camera again. I'm really sorry. Okay.
Anyway, so this is all scrap, and I have to go through my old stash of things.
Oh my god, I didn't even say that. So yeah, it's basically all of my like
worsted.
It's not exactly scraps, like it is, but
well, some of it's scraps.
It's basically all of the bits of yarn that I had I had like wound into a cake, or it was like a smallish ball to begin with, or it was just like, it's mostly worsted, like, or acrylic, or like just like novelty yarns. So
are you carrying that with something else, or you're just doing?
So basically, like, I don't set rules, but like I started with, it's mostly...
Oh yeah, I can see that row. It's like they're skinnier, but they're still the same height.
It's mostly, yeah. So it's mostly solid colors, and it looks different in the middle. And also we'll throw in a picture or two to show you the whole thing in a better view. But it's just inspired by, I don't know the person's Instagram, but we'll put it here to give credit. But it's just the basic granny stripe pattern. So at first I was like, how does one do that? Because I've only ever done it in a circle. But all you do is, once you have your chain, you just skip 2 stitches and do your granny like
cluster.
Knob in your granny cluster in every 3rd stitch.
So 3 double crochets in there, and then skip 2. And do you chain between yours or not?
I chain 1 between. I have them.
Some people do. I like
because
it when
then it like squishes instead of like, it's more of a like, if you don't chain, it goes more like this. But when you do chain, they kind of square.
They lay
out.
Flatter. I feel like
they just kind of squish into like a nice.
That was what my Nana taught me. I chain between. I do.
Yes. So, basically, what I've been doing is just like, the point was to use up like
a lot of this
yarn that I was like saving for like something, but mostly probably like I would have used it for like amigurumi or something, or I just didn't have left over from amigurumi, or it was left over.
And actually, what we did was we put all the yarn on a tray. We have like a tray that we use out here.
It was all in a bag, and I was like, I feel like I'm using the same colors over and over again.
So we put them on the tray, so
I can pick and
choose,
because I want to make it look kind of random, you know, but not.
And the part of that is, you know, like making sure when you have these real pops that you do throw it in every now and then.
Yeah, exactly. So I haven't been doing
in the same area.
Like I've been doing like the special yarns that are like colorful, or like
there's some kind of really
or
random novelty.
Like that,
and actually, I remember
so
when Sticks and Stitches was closing. Do you remember going there when you were little when they were closing? Maybe you were 12. I don't know how old. Maybe 10. Anyway, Haley has always been a yarn store aficionado, and she was allowed in because she took very good care of the yarn. You always valued yarn, even as a little tyke. Well, you didn't eat, but you also didn't like put sticky hands on it or anything.
I mean, but some small children put yarn in their mouths.
Oh, I have seen that. We do not love that. So anyway, when you know, our prior favorite yarn store in Montclair was closing years back, we and you know, like every now and then, like you look in the sale bin, but anytime Haley would come with me to the yarn store, exactly, you'd be like, oh, mama, can you buy me that? So she had a pretty good stash.
And of course it was like
all
some
shiny,
weird novelty yarn that I've never, like, no one would ever buy for, like, a, not that no one would ever buy, but it's just, like, not necessarily the most functional.
Right,
like,
and not something you would expect to buy,
this
really.
This purple one is the best example, because I think I had it for, like, over a decade.
Oh, I remember that. I think that one I bought. It's got pom-poms in it, right?
It has pom-poms in it.
Yeah, I think because I love pom-poms, so I think I bought that one. Like,
no, yeah, this is like a classic.
Like, not for you. I think I bought it for me.
Like, this is a classic, like, Sticks and Stitches. Haley wanted it. Never had a plan for what was going to be used with it, but now it's in the
blanket.
And
so
that's what
great.
I like about using scraps for blankets, is because, like, the neon that I really like. What else am I gonna do, like, with that? But I love it.
College student,
but
so yeah, you're not gonna make a whole outfit
so
out
now,
of it.
and this is gonna be in my apartment, in Montreal, when I ever get back there, and so
that'll be great. You leave it on the back of the sofa, have it be decorative and cozy, right?
And it is cozy. I've started wearing it while I've been working.
Yes, it's big enough to wear while you're working. So, all right. So
That's
that is whips, right? That was a lot of
yes,
a lot on our whips, but we've been having fun with our whips for the last couple of weeks. So, there you go. All right. Real quick little segment from us on New in Store. We talked earlier about Casapinka's Breathe and Hope pattern and the kits we put together. If you take a look at our Instagram, Shop Yarnia, there are a few posts there with some kits we put together. Yes, they're all, like, I don't know, they each had like 9 or 10 in it, and some of them we were able to make like 3 or 4 versions of the same kit. Some of them, if it was the last skein we had of a certain thing, you could only make one. Some of them were unique, but a couple that we still have yarn to make more of that I know, and actually these happen to be here because they're being shipped out because we're at home. But one was, this was Cactus Flower, so a nice multi from Knitted Wit, and Manos Alegria Cactus Flower. So many of our kits I wound up doing with the Alegria because we have, I don't even know, we have like 30 colors of it or something.
Like,
actually, that's one thing I need
They're
to...
officially semi-solids, right?
Yes.
Like, that's what they call them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are. So that is one kit, the Cactus Flower kit.
And I love the Knitted Wit sock so much.
Yeah, yep. And then we had some also that were Mad Tosh and Alegria. So this one is called Tulip Time, and like I said, this one is going out, but I know we just restocked a lot of our Alegria, so we now have enough of this to make more of these. And this is a Mad Tosh skein that goes with it beautifully, Mythical Beasts. One thing we found out is that the pattern shows it best when there's a fairly high amount of contrast. And I do like to have a lot of usually color overlap. So, orangey reds into orangey reds, but also this one I think is going to pop really nicely because there's a lot of difference as well. Then this was one with 2 Mad Tosh skeins, Perfect Pink. I think that's really pretty.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah, we've sold a few of these. And then actually I don't have the Alegria with me, but I think the person who wanted this one is passing on it. So this, I'm going to probably make a new kit with our restocked Alegria. We've got a beautiful orange. We had done this with a Mad Tosh orange. That one went out.
That one looks like a Monet painting too.
Yeah, I have a skein of this. It's Dirty Harry. I love this. Of course I love this.
Harry Styles?
No, it's orange and purple and white and everything. It's really fun. Very like spattered and speckled looking. But to me, this with, pulling out that orange with a pop is the way to go. So maybe I'll make a second Breathe and Hope, because I'm the one I have going with this is definitely it's a hibernating whip. Seriously hibernating.
What thing?
It's another shawl. It's another
okay.
shawl. I started a while back.
I was like, when did you start the other Breathe and Hope?
No,
didn't it just come out?
Yes, it did. So that is it in terms of kits. And actually the other thing I really wanted to say is, and we talked about it a little bit earlier, I love putting kits together, and
yes, very much.
And basically, if you call the store, if it's not during the time I'm answering, leave me a message. You can also email us. I'm happy to put together something custom for you. Let me know what colors you like. Let me know what colors you don't like, and I
can send you some options.
Yeah, exactly. I'll put some things on the table in the store, take some pictures, text them to you. We can go back and forth and have something that's just perfect for you. So I really do love doing that. It's a lot of fun. Then the other thing we talked a little bit about that I think we're going to put in our newsletter next weekend is our restock of Zoe. And we have a picture we can throw in. I did not bring a whole lot of it. Actually, it was in this basket. It came home with me and then I went back to the store. But we have a picture. Amanda ordered some beautiful new colors of it and restocked some of our bestsellers. So
and those really are like perfect like tones for summer.
For summer tops, yeah. Because I like some people really like the pastels. Yeah, we did when I did the pictures. Like we have a group of neutrals. We have a group of really saturated colors, and then we had a group more toward pastel. So no matter what kind of palette you like for summer, we've got something that's going to work. I vary between the neutrals all the time and like neutral bottoms with a pop of color on the top. Yeah. That's a lot of times.
I think I might switch the green triangle diamond top to either Zoe, like the blue Zoe, I can see in that, or the cotton that you were doing with the
denim GK maybe, or
the green one with the dishcloth.
I forget what that was. Oh, the hand knit cotton. Yep.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
You might see it in a different. I don't know if that's like the right. I don't think
you may need a little more bulk with it. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna hang right because it's too light.
All right. So very last thing today, which is a little bit of a tease, is new in store. We have a new DK yarn that I'm super excited about. I've mentioned before, I want to do a Afghan crochet along. So not quite like my granny's granny square blanket, but use one of Hooked on Sunshine's patterns. Probably Phoenix, which our customer Sarah did, or there's another one that starts with A, but I forget what it is right now. But it's really lovely too. But Hooked on Sunshine has some great patterns. They all have excellent pattern support, which is really good, especially socially distanced, right? So we can start, usually when I've had Afghan knit-alongs, well, they've been knit-alongs in the past, this year will obviously be a crochet along. We've had regular Sunday meetings, and I've tried to keep a little bit ahead, so, you know, if folks who are knitting along come to our Sunday meeting and have a question about how to do a stitch or how to do a square, you know, I can go through that and you know, everybody stays on track. Uh-oh, Charlie woke up. But this time we won't be able to do that. So picking a Hooked on Sunshine pattern, you'll have tons of available support because when you buy the pattern, all the support tools come with it. Yay. But when I was looking at our DK yarns, I had noticed we don't really have a good standard superwash DK, you know, commercial yarn. We have superwash DK, but it's all hand dyed, right? It's Mad Tosh or it's knitted with DK, which are great, but not necessarily at a price point that you want to make a whole Afghan out of them, first of all, or secondly, right? Like their colors are so variegated that you won't be able to see stitch patterns very well, right? And then we have DK weight solid colors like the Scout, the Kelborn Scout, which is really lovely, or the felted tweed, like I'm making my knitted Afghan out of, right? Felted tweeds DK. Or the Harriet, but well, an Afghan out of Harriet is 100% alpaca, which would be incredibly cozy, maybe a little bit too cozy, but also, yeah, I wouldn't want my kids to hang out. It's also, you know, sort of like dry clean or very carefully hand wash only, and yeah. You know, the same with felted tweed. I mean, I am making this, but this will be a hand wash only blanket. Do not put it in the washing machine or you will have a felted blanket. It won't just be felted tweed. It will be actually felted. Womp womp. So yeah, and you know, and the Scout as well is non-superwash and would make a hand wash only blanket, which a lot of our customers, and understandably me too most of the time, you know, will want to occasionally wash their blankets because their dog lies on them or their kids eat food on them, and just toss it in the wash. And even if you lay it flat to dry or something like that, that's much better than hand washing a big blanket. Okay, anyway, enough rambling. So we got a new yarn. Yay! This is Superwash DK in solid colors, bright solid colors. This is Sugarbush Crisp. Yeah, Sugarbush Crisp. So it's the little brother to Sugarbush Bold, which is one of our favorite worsted weight yarns, right? It's a multiply. So super round and bouncy. Shows up stitches really well and comes in a great range of bright colors. So we got a lot of colors. I want to say like 23 colors. I don't have them all here. I just pulled some out of the box. I will have them in stock in our system by the time this podcast comes out. But more importantly, maybe by the next time this podcast comes out, I will have some suggested color groupings for our Ardith. Ardith is the other Hooked on Sunshine blanket I'm considering. I will have some color groupings for our crochet along so that folks can start getting their yarn and getting prepped, and maybe we can start at the beginning of June our Hooked on Sunshine crochet along and run it through the end of the summer. That'll be perfect for our summer of hopefully emerging from quarantine, but probably not totally social the way we were before. So that whatever we're doing this summer, crochet along. But I just pulled some colors so you can see what these look like. Yay. Those are some. Here's another 4. And if you know Bold, right, a lot of these colors, they're not the same color names, but the colors overlap. Like this one to me is Powell Pink. This one is Yukon Gold, but this one is not called Yukon Gold, and the Crisp. This is Sugarbush Crisp. This one is called what? Peaceful Pink. To me, it's super similar or the same color as Powell Pink in the Bold. And Yukon Gold and Bold is Juno, it's yellow. Juno, it's yellow. They do such cute, like, Canadian names. Or Juno, I guess, is Alaska, but maybe there's a Canada Juno too. Some of our Canadian listeners can probably tell. Watchers, viewers. Anyway, yeah, Sugarbush Crisp is new in store. Yay. I'm sure it'll be in the newsletter soon, and like I said, I will have more about our crochet along soon because I'm super excited for it, especially now that I've finished my crochet shawl, crochet slippers. I don't have anything I'm crocheting right now, and that's the next thing. Okay, I think that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for coming to watch Chronicles of Yarnia again. So good to have you here. I hope you're well. I hope you're maintaining during this crazy time. Definitely come to our knit nights on Wednesday. Be sure to sign up online to get the link. And take care. Bye.
So time for us to go make dinner, but thank you for watching, and we'll see you and talk to you again soon. All right?
Bye.
Bye.
Maybe I'll do a different room next time. We'll see you then. Bye. Speaking of winging it, my stack that my laptop is on, so I have like a decent height and you don't all just see my chin, is kind of hilarious because it's 2 different Harry Potters, an Amy Poehler book, a big fat book of math, because we're still schooling at home, Neil Gaiman's The Graveyard Book, and the official DC superhero cookbook. Basically, I grabbed what I had on hand. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Did anyone else see that New York Times article about looking at people's bookcases? I'm a little worried now that you all are like going to be zooming in. I'm warning you now. This is the collection of cookbooks and food writing. And it also has a bunch of random stuff on the shelves. So I don't think I'm like Kate Blanchett, where I have all 12 editions of the Oxford English Dictionary. Although I would totally love all 12 editions of the OED, but I don't have it.